Now, I will say something as far as we've gone over the insanity. Everyone's gone over the insanity of the dog stuff and like him just kind of rambling about crowd sizes and so on and so forth. I want to talk about the debate moderators because I have a few thoughts on that. My first thought is I don't like moderators fact check. Okay, I think if there's something wrong with what a candidate says, it's the job of the other candidate to correct them with their facts. And I think this serves two purposes. One, you keep the moderators neutral. You don't put that on top of them. But two, you don't give the optics that whomever's getting fact checked, and in this case it was Trump, maybe rightfully so. Some argue. You don't give the optics that of the four people that are in that room, it was three against one. Okay, you don't want that to be the case, and that gave Fox News the opportunity to be like it was biased. Things were stacked against Trump. They didn't fact check Kamala, even though she had some lies, which I'm sure she did. She absolutely did, actually. But you just don't want to give that to them. So I don't like it. I don't like setting up a precedent that, okay, if we're on CBS or whatever channel that was, okay, those moderators on fact check. Okay, what happens if the next moderator, the next debate is on Fox News? Like, do you want Sean Hannity and fucking Laura Ingraham to be fact checking Kamala Harris with their crazy batshit? Like, no, we don't want to do that. They should stay out of it. But some people say Trump was such a big liar they had to do it, but I don't necessarily subscribe to that. But what are your thoughts?
I think the debate is about the candidates. It should never be about another person involved. I think the moderator's job is to keep it from turning into a circus and keep them to try to keep them to talk about the things that you're trying to get them to talk about. Um, their answer, whether it's batshit crazy or not, you're right. It's the other candidate's part, and I think if there's anything that hurt Harris was the moderators because in the MAGA world, they're not going to give her credit for anything that she said because she had a leg up, right? So she didn't have an opportunity to spread anything because the way that they conducted themselves, it made it look one sided, and the MAGA people aren't going to even pay attention.
Right. If there was a chance.
If there is a chance. I am a firm believer that civil dialogue could change this country. I really wish that we could go back to having intelligent debates that don't end in fistfights or talking about somebody's mama. Because I think the best ideas we have are the ones that are taking the best parts of both sides of the house. The Democrats and the Republicans.
Yeah. Hashtag Jesse Ventura. Um, Now, do you think? Because I'm pretty sure, regardless of the debate, everyone's pretty well set of who they're going to
Yeah.
vote for. Do you think this debate moved the needle any for anyone?
I think it's always about those swing voters, the ones that sit in the middle. I think it's actually more about former Trump supporters, and I could see that maybe some of them may walk away after that. Right, the ones that I think they're exhausted of him. And that's the thing about Trump that is so difficult for I think a lot of people to understand. He resonates for different people on different frequencies, right? I
True.
don't
Yeah.
care for Kanye West as a person, but I'm a huge fan of his music. I can make a distinction between the two of them, right? And there are people that are in Trump's base that can do the same. They don't necessarily care for him as a person, but they care for his financial policies and they care for the things that they're going to help them continue to be financially successful, right?
Yeah.
And those people are the ones that you have to cater to. And there was a moment though in the election and when Kamala said some things that have made those people a little nervous, right? Huge social service programs traditionally don't translate well to the economy. And when she talks about the $25,000 for purchasing a home, I think it was the 6,500 for having a baby. Lord, You're going to say that to people who help hate welfare, that you're going to just give people money for babies? Like, there's some of that when, even though it's a great idea, you're trying to win a race, right? There's some things that you don't want to touch. The stove is hot, and that didn't make sense to me. Plus, when you look at the ramifications of policies like that, with unchecked capitalism and the way that they work, that is raise the floor, right? So if more money gets put into circulation, they just increase the cost of goods. They're not going to take a loss, and there's nobody that's going to make them take a loss. So it's interesting. Financially, I'm a Trump supporter. Everything else that makes common sense, moral decency, or anything else, I can never vote for him. But financially, I think he did good because he does the hard thing. He does the thing that Biden and Harris won't do.
which is
You can't support green,
okay, okay,
right? You can't, like, the green policies and all of that. That has a bad backlash on the economy. If you look at what Trump did, Trump came in and one of the first positions he filled, because he didn't fill many, but one of the first ones he did get filled was the head of the EPA, which, if you look it up, was a man who was in active litigation against the EPA.
okay.
And he destroyed the EPA from the inside because he was the head of it. Doing something like that, it makes the economy boom because now big businesses aren't paying money to do the right thing anymore. There's no more a watchdog for them, so they can do their fuck shit, which in the end we all get an upgrade from it, right? The prices get better when they do that. When they tell them to go do right, and then they gotta, like, put in additional smokestacks, and they gotta update stuff, and they gotta worry about not dumping their waste in the lake. Like, it becomes a problem.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think a lot can be said about this stuff, and when it comes to economics, it's far more complicated than a lot of people give credit to. Your average person is going to think about how, like, you move this block, how that affects the rest of the Jenga tower, right? But I will say, just a quick response to what you're saying. I think a person can support green, but the only problem with like Kamala Harris is that she's not going to do the actual hard part in my mind, which is to rein in the billionaires at the same time. Like, the money is there, but you need to make sure you pull that from the correct people. We need to be able to support green without harming those who have gas guzzlers right now, those that can't put solar panels on their house at the moment. A more holistic way to do that, and the only way to do that is to leverage the money that the billionaires have. I'm going to just say stolen from the middle class over the course of the last 40 years. And that distinction is the distinction between being a liberal and a progressive. So she's a liberal. She's probably going to fuck this thing up. So
It
what
doesn't
have
work.
you?
I hear everything you're saying. It doesn't work. When you come and take their money, they fuck the people that they fucked to start off with worse.
Well, yeah, that's their knee jerk reaction. But then you just have to stop them.
How?
Like, well, for starters, if you like, I guess we're going to give an example of what, like, regulating, or would you taxing the rich?
I
Would
mean,
you
like,
say
even
taxing the
if you
rich?
increase their taxes, right?
No,
They're going to get. You have to understand, you're dealing with people who live and die on margins, right?
right.
And when something is off in the margin, they make adjustments to the input and the output. So if you
Uh-huh.
make an adjustment to their output, they're going to make an adjustment to the input. There's just no way around it. They're not going to take the loss, Alvin, and that's where. And then what do? They find new and more creative ways to take money from different areas. It's like playing whack a mole, and this is where me and you have this whole fundamental disagreement about capitalism, right? I think I always say that I was pushing for that capitalism has to have more regulations. There has to be more ways of stopping these people from doing things, and I didn't believe in unchecked capitalism, and that in the end they eat off of the people and literally will eat them alive. I think we were talking about it when we were watching I Am Virgo, and you were like, "Oh, that capitalist dribble," You're like, "I'm a big capitalist," and I'm like,
No, I'm on your page with that.
"Okay."
Yeah. No, no, I might have just been messing with you.
Okay, then yeah, I don't. Capitalism is it's a bad thing. Unchecked is a bad thing, and these corporations have gotten way too big. They've gotten way too strong. They're way too influential. I think they're the main reason why we have these conversations about politics, is because the politicians serve the corporations and the corporate interests before they serve ours. And so there's always this game of smoke and mirrors that they're playing, acting like they care about us while they still take their bribes and money from big business. And I don't know how we change that until we attack the Senate process and the Congress process of term limits and things like that. Because right now the corruption is way too deep.
Well, that's a big part of it too. But I just think that for every action they take, there's a reaction to. Like the people in the government have the ultimate power. So if you have a company that's, let's say, the Ford Motor Plant,
Okay.
right? You tell them you're taxing the executives, and they're like, "Well, we need to make more money, so we're going to go to automation." It's like, okay, well, if you go to automation, then now let's just tax them on the automation. Let's set up a UBI. I mean, they're going to snuff themselves out before. You can't automate everything, right? So if they want to go tick, we'll go tat with them every time until they're down to nothing.
So if the government is that
And
effective, tell me why we couldn't have done that when we rolled out healthcare. Because that's exactly what happened.
like
Yeah.
Obamacare,
I mean,
well, Obamacare is still that was a giveaway to the private sector, so it's still them being capitalists, except for now we're forced into the capitalist sector.
but that's still you're forcing it deeper into the belly of the pig. Healthcare itself is a money grab. The cost that we pay for healthcare is astronomical and unnecessary.
Mhm.
Um,
That's the capitalism there. And Obama is a liberal, like so. I'm saying like his thing was the liberal solution. He didn't do the progressive one, but the liberal solution is worse because it comes cloaked in this like progressive veneer, but it's not. It's the split between the progressive position and the conservative position.
I give you that. I give you that. I
So
don't know. I don't have. I think where this whole conversation, where I agree with everything you said. First of all, I want to say that that's the way it should be, 100%. I just have so little faith in our ability to legislate, that I don't think it would ever happen.
yeah, we'd have problems for sure. They're not going to do what they need to do. It will always be this neoliberal sort of like solution to everything, which will eventually fuck up everything. They have to go full bore progressive if they're going to do anything at all. Because what happens is they do the liberal thing, it gets said it's progressive, so people hate the progressive thing, quote progressive thing. So now they want to go back to the conservative thing, not knowing that you didn't even do the progressive thing, you did the conservative light thing.
Isn't that how it always works, though, in politics? You're never going to get a fool anybody.
Yeah,
Everybody settles for light, right?
yeah. Middle ground, 50-50. I think I mentioned 50-50 is going to be the bane of my existence. I hate
I agree. Sometimes things are stupid and shouldn't even be recognized, like eating dogs and cats.
it. Government better not take my dogs and cats away. I tell you
Yeah.
that much.
And look,